Press the bell icon on the YouTube app to never miss a video from News Laundry.
Welcome to News Laundry Chota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
We're back on the Hafta. Some of you had said rather cheekily last week when the Hafta was a little late कि क्या हुआ अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ अपना हफ्ता भूल गए. And we said nahi, although we were overworked and understaffed with Karthik and Parikshit both at location at the Media Rumble, yet we did record the Hafta. In fact, we gave you a Hafta last week which had the he doesn't like me to use the word expert, but Samrat, who is from Bengal, Assam, Shillong, he's been all across that. He's lived there all his life, talking about the National Register for Citizens. So we did come back. So I will say, thumping my chest again, Angrez apna lagaan aur News Laundry apna hafta kabhi nahi bhulte. When the advertiser pays, the advertiser is served, and when the public pays, the public is served. Support News Laundry. This week on the Hafta, here on the panel is a very well-balanced panel on gender, which we get a lot of criticism for. Now we have to learn to balance it on marginalized communities, which hopefully we should be able to do soon. We have Anand Vardhan. Hi Anand, how are you doing?
Hello.
How's your health?
Fine.
Has the Delhi monsoon managed to get you down?
No.
Manisha Pandey, award-winning journalist. How's your health?
Very bad.
Has
Coughing and sneezing and
Delhi monsoon has got you?
totally got me.
इसीलिए कहता है सिगरेट मत पिया करो. And Madhu Trehan, our editor-in-chief.
Hi.
Congratulations on a spectacular Media Rumble.
And to everyone here at News Laundry.
And to all our subscribers, without you it wouldn't have been possible. And I'm Abhinandan Sekhri. We will discuss the following today. And joining us on the phone, sorry Ram, because I couldn't see you. And I'm such a sucker for the visual. On the phone is Ramanathan Subramanian, with more than 9 years of journalistic experience. Ram has been with NDTV, Times Now and others. And right now he is partner for content and strategy for the News Minute, a wonderful portal that covers the four southern states in more detail than I think any other portal. So hi Ram, I'll just tell you what we'll discuss today. High profile exits from ABP News and following Editors Guild statement. Some like it, some don't like it. The Foundation of Media Professionals statement. Much speculation about what led to the exit. We've carried a piece on it. The Wire's carried a piece on it. Prasoon has given his point of view. Hopefully, we'll have more perspectives coming. Then we have the passing away of the DMK chief Karunanidhi, who was a huge presence in Tamil politics. We will have Ram telling us about what that means for the future of politics in Tamil Nadu. And also, what was that fracas about he should be buried at, Marina Beach as opposed to the other place where they were giving him space to get buried. There was also, I think, 4 deaths at his basically funeral. तो नहीं कहेंगे, funeral ही कहेंगे ना? 3 deaths.
Yeah,
3.
funeral. Really? I didn't know this. 3 deaths.
So because of the
Stampede.
and
Okay.
because thousands of people who
My
came.
God.
So then there's what's the row about Article 35A. In fact, day before yesterday, I think there was a hearing in the Supreme Court. Doesn't even know what happened. 35A, for those of you who don't know, is the article that grants special privileges to permanent residents of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and only they can buy property and settle there and outsiders can't. And a Delhi-based NGO has filed a case saying that why can't we as Indians also settle down there. Then there was the ghastly case of the shelter homes rapes in Muzaffarpur. I mean, I read about that case and I really, even though we've been so desensitized, I really didn't want to read no more. And I saw the report on NDTV. And now they do it. Started off with, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Atul, it started off with 1 shelter home, but it went on to 12, right? 14 shelter homes. And we had actually broken that story about 2 weeks ago. And now it's snowballed into, they're doing a audit of shelter homes across Uttar Pradesh as well. Because there have been some complaints in UP, in Devariya. So, yeah, there was that. And of course, the 2 stings, one by India Today, of cops as hitmen in Uttar Pradesh. The other was NDTV's sting on these men who have been accused of lynching Pehlu Khan. Pehlu Khan was carrying cows, and it's based in Rajasthan, and it was, I mean, you have to see that video to believe it. So let's first start off with Ram on the Karunanidhi issue, and then we can move on to the rest. So let me get the first clarity on two things, Ram. What is the significance of a burial happening for Jayalalitha and Anna and Karunanidhi, all the Hindus, and secondly, what is the prime Marina Beach? What is the status? Why did that become a point of contention that should Karunanidhi be buried there? And for those of our listeners who don't know the full picture, if you could quickly just also briefly tell us what the whole confrontation was that he should get a burial at Marina Beach.
All right. So you made three questions. I'll go with them one by one. All right. So the first thing about burial as a Hindu, well, there are lots of communities here which are Hindu communities which go for burial, right? The idea that the cremation has to happen necessarily is a fairly Brahminical idea. You'll see mostly the certain upper castes which go for cremation, necessarily speaking. But there are lots of castes, which are oppressed castes, which also go for a burial. So it's not necessary that it's not really unheard of.
Oh, sorry, was this a pushback during the Periyar movement to reject Hindu customs, or was it there before? Did it predate Periyar?
Well, I don't know. Frankly, I don't know so much history with regards to cremation procedures, but I wouldn't think so. I think these are longer standing traditions of being buried and not being cremated. I think it would outdate Periyar. That would be my guess. All right. But either way, I mean, I don't think they're political, so to speak. They're as religious as when the upper caste want to cremate. It's not really a political statement to make to bury the body. There are a lot of castes which continue doing that.
I see.
That's number one. Number two, as far as whether it's Marina or whether it's the Gandhi Mandapam, which is near Anna University. See, the broad understanding always was that since Anna was buried in Marina, that was the space which was meant for Dravidian stalwarts, right? It's not like it's been recorded anywhere. It's not like somebody came out and said that openly. But in the minds of people, in the minds of politicians, the broad understanding was that Anna was buried there, MGR was buried there, later Jayalalitha was buried there. See, for example, when Jayalalitha died, none of us had this conversation, right, as to where she was going to be buried.
It was understood.
Naturally,
it was understood she'd be buried there.
Exactly. It was understood that she was, she was going to be buried there. And so, that's what we kind of did.
So, before Ram carries on, I'll just explain to our listeners who Anna is, in case you don't know who Anna is. Anna is Anna Durai, who was the successor to Periyar movement. Periyar was Erode Ramasamy Nayakar, who started the Justice Party, the Munnetra Kazhagam, which is the basically fountainhead for both AIADMK and DMK.
No. Wait, no, you got it wrong.
Then?
The Justice Party became the Dravida Kazhagam.
Dravida Kazhagam, right.
Dravida Kazhagam. The Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, which is DMK.
DMK, yeah, then it split. So Anna split it. So basically Anna is Periyar's successor.
The political successor. Yeah. You can say the political successor because Periyar never wanted to go to politics. He wanted to remain as a social movement.
Yeah, so that is the importance of being buried next to Anna, basically.
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay,
because,
so you can take it from here.
The broad understanding always was that because Anna was the political father for all the Dravidian leaders who came after Periyar, and he was buried in the Marina, it was always understood that all Dravidian stalwarts will be given a final resting at the Marina Beach near his Samadhi. For instance, when Jayalalitha passed away, it was never a debate. There was never a question raised as to where she should be buried and whether she should get a place there or not. It was easily understood and known that her final resting place was going to be near Marina. Also because, of course, MGR was also buried there. But in this case, suddenly this question kind of came up. Why the government of Tamil Nadu had to, spark off a debate like this? What did they have in mind? This is all, anybody's guess. You could think, it was because of the chief minister's own arrogance or, there are different kinds of rumors. So we really don't know what happened. But I think there is a very, very broad consensus, even among AIADMK leaders, even among AIADMK partymen, that was entirely unnecessary. Whether we like or not, whether we like Karunanidhi or not, whether we agree with his politics or not, he's a man who changed Tamil politics and perhaps even Indian politics forever.
Sure, and he was huge.
I
mean, just across the amount of time that he was there. In fact, I read this book. Funnily enough, I just started reading this book like 4 weeks ago, and he died. So, by I think Shreya Ravi Shankar. There's the book on
Ravi Shankar.
Sorry?
Sandhya Ravi Shankar.
Sandhya, right. So, so you get an idea of how at the age of 14 or 15, Karunanidhi had like jumped into politics, and how smart and for how much time he kind of straddled. So yeah, I mean, he's probably bigger than in one sense to Anna also.
Well, yeah, not many would agree with that, but yeah, I mean, it was remarkable. His political career, the impact. I think we have to always remember the kind of impact he had on Indian politics and our society at large today. For example, even Narendra Modi, when he spoke about federalism, when he was the Gujarat Chief Minister, the foundation for federal politics was laid by the Dravidian movement. It was these guys who were talking about federalism long back in 1950, in 1960, right? Also the Hindi agitation, we were talking about the state's rights and the right of people to determine what they would like to do in their geographical entity.
Right.
So everything else, federalism, we're talking about, linguistic rights. All the non-Hindi states today which are fighting for, linguistic rights of their own language, all of them, have to thank the Dravidian movement in some way, because long, long ago, these debates were made in the parliament or in the assembly here in Tamil Nadu and brought to the larger public discourse, only because there were these people, including Karunanidhi, who sat down and thought about these issues.
So let's come out of that with the 2 sting operations. Let me start with you, Manisha. Since you are feeling so unwell, you can just set the tone. 2 amazing stings. Each time one feels that journalists don't do anything brave. I think this is a brave thing to do. And for those of you who are listening from around the country, around the world, I don't know whether you're aware, but media houses have a very careful relation with the UP government as opposed to other governments. I'll tell you why. Because Media City कहते हैं ना, उसको क्या कहते हैं? Film City is in Noida. That falls under UP. So actually the Noida and all that land, there is some, it's not freehold, it's lease. So actually the UP government has always had some leverage over all media houses ever since Film City was born. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're always kind to them, but I know for a fact that they report on the UP government a little more carefully than they would say on the Tamil Nadu government or the Gujarat government or the Rajasthan government. In such an environment, to do a sting like that, I think is fantastic. Those of you who haven't seen it, you have cops on camera admitting that if you want someone shot, 8 lakhs is the price. And the data they show, since Yogi came into power, 1,200 encounter deaths. And when you see that data, I don't know how we just thump about being the next superpower and liberal democracy. In any civilized country, numbers like this, and again, I'm not saying that in America it doesn't happen, but in America, one such death causes a national outrage. If there were 1,200 a year by cops in one state, only in, let's say, Texas.
There have been, in America, there have been deaths, black youths targeted by...
That's what I'm saying, it causes outrage.
It has created an outrage.
I'm saying, imagine there were 1,200 in one state. And you had a cop on camera saying, yeah, if you pay me, I'll shoot the guy. And the other, of course, was these guys who are saying that we have the support of the government and उसने गाय को काटा, मैंने उसको काट डाला, वो पानी मांगता रहा, मैंने कहा तूने मरती गाय को पानी दिया था कि नहीं दिया था. The glee with which they talk about beating a man to death is disgusting. I mean, it's vile.
In fact, I was thinking in NDTV's case, I'm really wondering if a sting was needed. I think these guys would have knowingly also spoken about all of this, the kind of impunity they enjoy and the kind of...
That's
when you have the minister garlanding men who've just been, who've just gotten out on bail, it's really now for a large section, it's like punya ka kaam kiya hai. So they would brag about it. I was really wondering if the reporter had just gone saying, I want to interview you and you want to talk about it. I was wondering if they'd just speak with as much openness as they did. But the good thing in NDTV case is that it may just lead to some legal action also. Because in the Hapur case, I think the victim's family has approached the Supreme Court and they've said that they want to fast track the hearing and the Supreme Court is going to hear it out. So I'm hoping that the sting results in some action and some relief for the victims' families.
But I think it's a big step up for NDTV because the last thing they did was on auto drivers overcharging people at 5 rupees in Delhi. So,
And the journalist spent a month or two doing this. He spent quite a lot of time looking at trying to track these guys and speak to them. So it's pretty.
Did you see the India Today sting?
No, India Today I missed. That sting.
That was very brave because it's again cops, man. And if the cop in the police station catches that you were trying to sting him, you're not going to get out of the police station. Yeah, you're done there.
You're finished.
And again, in the India Today case, there have been reports about these encounter killings. I think Neha Dikshit has reported. She's gone to the families of the guys who were shot.
Yes, there was that.
And then NDTV had also, I think, in fact, Shruti, who used to work with News Laundry, had done a story again tracking the families. But again, when you see those guys on camera say it, it's another impact altogether.
Okay. Now, first one. Today there has been a case in Karnataka when an India Today reporter has been beaten by cow smugglers.
Beaten up,
and his mobile phone has been broken. So he was actually covering on a raid by police on information supplied by some animal protection activists. So he was beaten up there, and I hope media takes up that case too. Second is that Rajasthan sting case. So like Asimanand case where sting he
that wasn't a sting. He gave an interview.
Boasted a lot of things. Here also he's bragging a lot of things. I'll just say that whether it is child lifting, cow smuggling, this lynching is also a reflection of the retributive justice psyche in Indian society. That we would somehow give you that kind of punishment that is in proportionate to what we consider it as a crime. So that street justice, instant justice. So that is also a psyche of retributive justice in popular culture. In films you see the hierarchy of villains is somehow decided by how brutally you kill. So the most vile person is killed most brutally. So also this retributive justice, that we are the justice deliverers.
Anyway, now let's come to ABP. Please tell us, young Manisha,
who would you say in today's journalists or photographers has that kind of passion?
You know, I actually find I must be honest, I don't know that much about photography. So I mean, they may be very gifted and talented young people around, but I was recently introduced to the work of Bharat Tiwari, who's written a piece or two for us. But I saw his photographs from the Rumble, which he's posted. My God, he's brilliant. Even last day, he's just, the moods he gets, I was just blown away.
Publish it? We could publish them.
We should publish them. We should in fact ask him,
we can do a photo essay.
We can do a photo essay of the Media Rumble. He's got such stunning pictures. So yeah.
So there were high profile exits from ABP last week. Last week. The managing editor Milind Khandekar quit. Punya Prasoon Bajpai, who was an anchor with ABP, quit. One of their anchors, Abhisar Sharma, is on leave. I don't think he's quit, but he was sent on leave. And there were a lot of...
How can you be sent on leave? Jao leave
go
lo.
Off air,
Mujhe nahi chahiye. Nahi, tumhe chutti
Isn't the
chahiye.
standard in many television
Yeah, sent on leave is very common. Go on leave. Oh, thank you, sir.
That's nice though. So anyway.
It's happened in Mirror now also. An anchor person who was told to go on, or she was suspended for 2 weeks.
There's been a lot of conversation about what triggered this exit, and Punya Prasoon Bajpai actually came out and wrote a piece where he explained some of the reasons, some of the circumstances that led to his exit, which includes disruptions of his show, signal disruptions in his show.
Which were documented.
and on 4 other ABP channels. Punya Prasoon Bajpayee's show Master Stroke is kind of, it's sort of anti-government. I don't know if anti-government is the right word, but he does like
that's
if you
what
look
his
at if you look at prime time, very few people are doing what he's doing. Like he'll fact check every
Manisha,
claim that
one
Modi's
second.
made.
Basically, a journalist's job is to fact check and analyze what's happening in the country. I really don't think it should be seen as anti-government, because that is a journalist's job, and the government should actually grow up and understand that we're only doing a job. It's not against you personally.
When you compare it to other prime times, it's a decidedly a stance that takes on the Modi government specifically. So his show had caused a lot of issues. The management, from what we know, is the management was under some pressure because of his show, especially after one of his shows where he interviewed a woman who was on a conversation with Narendra Modi. ABP team went to them and she said that I was tutored, and then there were allegations, counter allegations. You had no less than Nirmala Sitharaman and the INB minister tweeting out against ABP with the hashtag unfortunate journalism.
Then they conducted a press conference.
Yeah, with the woman where she said
I was not tutored.
Yeah.
Then ABP News went back there and then asked her, were you tutored for the press conference? And she said yes.
So
poor baby's been...
And so the show was a big bone of contention. Even Abhisar Sharma's video blogs that he were putting also were a big problem, because he also decidedly, took a lot of stance that was anti-Modi government. And the management, from what we know, was always sent out confused signals. They'd tell them to tone it down, and sometimes they tell me, okay, go with whatever you want to do. And they'd invested a lot in the show, so they couldn't, also in the branding and everything, so they couldn't take it off air either. But I think what is to me interesting in all of this is that ABP, the moment this happened, it was being celebrated as this channel, like, oh my God, truth to power, journalism and all that. ABP is as crass as many other Hindi. Some of its prime times are pathetic.
We've shown them.
Sensational crap.
Crazy stuff.
They do a lot of Modi Bhakti too. But they, every now and then, they do a ground report which really changes the narrative. And NDTV does that, but no one watches NDTV. So I think like whatever NDTV Hindi does, it has little impact. ABP has a wide viewership, so whatever they put out, it can really change. So for example, when Kasganj happened, you had a Dainik Jagran saying, Hinduon ko hamla kara Muslim ne Jai Hind bolne ke liye. It was ABP's reporters who first reported that Muslims were also celebrating Republic Day, and that it was a jhadap between the two. It wasn't as if Muslims came out and started hurling stones at people saying Jai Hind. Even the Dera violence, they covered it really well. So they do really good ground reporting. And what you get a sense from this Milind, the managing editors, he kind of kept a balance of both like your crass kind of sensational stuff, pro-Modi, bhakti kind of stuff, and also a little bit taking on the government. And what is surprising is that now there's not even space for that. So before 2019, you have no news channel which is going to even question the government on anything. You have Aaj Tak, which is not, I don't think Aaj Tak does that sort of journalism. They have Rohit Sardana and all on their primetime. Z. ABP was one of the last largely viewed channels that went often against the government claims, government stance, took on official stances, and
so in the Hindi language channel.
Hindi, and it was, like I said, it was not this great, anti-establishment journalistic enterprise. It was very basic journalism they would do sometimes, which also today is being viewed as something that, it's anti-government.
I think it's, personally, I think it's a disgrace, the kind of tweets Mr. Rathore puts out, INB minister, and our ministers in general. Trump is mocked the world over, especially by his people, for the kind of idiotic tweets he puts out. For us, it's normal. We expect no better from our ministers.
Yeah, like why should a defense minister tweet unfortunate journalism? Why?
No, and also the kind of, the amount of fake news that they tweet, the amount of stuff, the threads that they tweet, which are so dumb. You're a minister. Twitter is a dumb conversation place, the dumbest actually, but yet they resort to it. But I do think that what you said, it's very worrying that, and again, people say, it's been happening all the time, and that equivalent, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I have been in news for 25 years. Out of that, there was Mr. H.D. Devagowda, there was I.K. Gujral, there was the first 2 elections we covered. And yes, there are always pressures and there are always no pressures. That's true. But this whataboutery, but it was happened then. It has never been like this. And if there's some young 24-year-old bhakts who are telling me it has, I'm just saying that this equivalence, that there's always been pressure. The media has never been like this when there have been so many media houses. And the pressure has not been of the kind one sees today. That is my view.
Sun liya Afrika, mufat khoron. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing Because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free.
All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.